Welcome back to the All Things Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Julian. I'm here alone tonight, but that's no worries. We got a great show coming up. Lots of college football talk, lots of NFL talk. But before we get into anything, we have to talk about history that we saw this past weekend with Terrence Bud Crawford defeating Canelo Alvarez for the super middleweight championship that makes Terrence Crawford Jr. Terrence Crawford the three-time undisputed champion. He obviously has that junior welterweight, super middleweight now. And also I think the other one was the welterweight. So shout out to Terrence Crawford. A lot of people, were going for Canelo in this fight. This is obviously the biggest fight of this generation in terms of talent and in terms of viewers. They had like 41.5 million people tuned into this fight. So shout out to Turkey, shout out to Dana White and Ring for putting that together. But just the fight in general, I think it held up to what we wanted to see. This was a tale of two boxers ready to leave it all out there, in terms of their skills and effort, but also their legacies. And, you look at Canelo Alvarez coming into this fight, only have 2 losses on his record, not really shying away from, the best fighters. Obviously, there's that Benavidez talk, and that's neither here nor there, but, he fought Bivol, and he also fought Floyd Mayweather. So a lot of credit to his career and what he's been able to do and accomplish. But outside of those 2 fights, Canelo Alvarez has shown us that he's one of the most flawless fighters and best that we've ever seen. Is he the best Mexican fighter ever? I think there's an argument to be made there. Had he won this fight, there would be no question. I think that losing this fight leaves that door for discussion a bit open. However, I don't think it takes away from what he's done throughout his career, and how he's shown us to be one of the best athletes of this generation. But on the other side, man, this guy, Terrence Crawford, by the way, it's 10:17 p.m. here on the East Coast. Shout out to Brick Squad. I see 10:17 every day. But Terrence Bud Crawford coming out of Omaha, Nebraska, man, it's not many more things you can say to give his credit. He's done everything he's needed to do. He's fought everybody, in his way, and he's made a statement with all of his wins. The Errol Spence Jr. talk and that possibly being a fluky fight, or Terrence Crawford just had it that night and Errol Spence didn't. All of that is put to rest now that we saw what he was able to do and how uncomfortable he was able to make Canelo Alvarez look for 12 rounds. Some people had this fight going 6-7. Some people had it going 8-9 with the knockout clause that we know both of them had the chance to get and make a bigger bag. But both of them showed that they can play the defense, they can stand in the paint and fight with each other. And ultimately, Terrence Crawford, in the words of Canelo Alvarez, is just too good. And Canelo even went as far to say in the press conference that he's better than Floyd Mayweather. And I think that breeds a fun discussion, barbershop kind of conversation I'd like to have with more people around. I'm not going to just sit here and spew my thoughts on Floyd versus Terrence Crawford. I actually love them both. But for Canelo Alvarez to come out and say that after months of training in camp and then going out on Saturday night and putting it all on the line, that's a big feat for Terrence Crawford. And I loved to see the emotion just pour out on Saturday night for Crawford, because it shows how much he worked for this moment, how big this moment truly is for him and for the sport of boxing. So shout out to Terrence Crawford. He gets the star of the weekend moment. He's the big time moment of the weekend. I was waiting months for this fight. Thankfully, I was able to go to Fanatics Fan Fest and was able to watch the press conference that they had there. And you could see it in Crawford's eyes then. You've seen it in the press conferences leading up to the fights. He had a little corny statement he made on Friday night. I think he said, like, where I'm from, they call it the belt, or they call it the belt, but where I'm from, they call it the buckle because it hurts more. It would have looked crazy had he lost his fight, but I knew there was no doubt in my mind that Canelo Alvarez wasn't going to be able to come out victorious in this one. Shout out to them. Shout out to the boxing fans around the world who made it all possible too. Allegiant Stadium hosted that fight, and it looked like a fun and wild time out in Vegas. And shout out to Mark Davis, owner of the Raiders, because Allegiant Stadium, they made some money. They had boxing. They had the biggest fight of this generation on Saturday night, and then hosted Monday Night Football on the following Monday. And so that weekend in Vegas, they do numbers every weekend, but I could only imagine what people were spending over there. Cheeseburgers damn near $17. But that's enough of the boxing talk. I do want to bring up some college football talk. We have a fun weekend. It wasn't anything out of whack, out of ordinary. We didn't see any crazy upsets, but we did see Clemson going down to Georgia Tech. And I think that's the alarming part of the weekend as far as college football goes. We were not expecting to see Clemson go down to this Georgia Tech team. And that's not to say that Georgia Tech doesn't have it or couldn't beat Clemson. You just think we came into this season. Clemson obviously finished last season really strong, got to the playoff. Cade Klubnik showed, hey, I want to be in this conversation for first round draft picks, top quarterback taken off the board in 2026. Right now, that stock has plummeted. The Cade Klubnik stock has plummeted. Right now, it's like third round. I'm at like third round, fourth round for Cade Klubnik. It's very underwhelming watching this Clemson offense, missing one of their key players, understandably so, but with so much more talent around on that team, there shouldn't really be an excuse as to why Clemson can't get it going offensively. We saw them struggle in the first half a week ago versus Troy, and here we see them take the L, unable to get it together versus Georgia Tech. And it was a great thing that Georgia Tech was able to do. It was fire drill, they call it, fire drill style, game-winning field goal, lined it up perfectly with no time on the clock to spare for Clemson. And following the game, media and everything, Dabo Swinney had some comments, and I want to see if I can bring those comments up. He had some comments to the quote-unquote haters in terms of him coaching, remaining a coach, or what that looks like for Clemson. So here he is.
They want me gone. If they tired of winning, they can send me on the way, because that's all we've done is win. So if they tired of winning, we've won this league 8 out of the last 10 years. Is that not good? I'm just asking, is that good? I don't know if that's good or not. To win your league 8 out of 10 years, to go to the playoffs 7 out of 10 years, to be in 4 national championships, win it twice. Yeah, we're a little down right now. Take your shots, but I got a long memory, in case y'all don't know. We'll be all right. We'll bounce back.
And so, I think he makes a great point, right? Clemson has been at the top of the ACC for how long now? ACC is not the SEC, it's not the best conference, but it is a competitive conference. And, college football fans, we're rowdy, right? We grew up learning that like every game is a must win because the schedule's shorter and, the rankings, the playoff has expanded. So like the margin for error has grown with that through time. And we're just still not accustomed to seeing our team lose 3 times and still be able to compete for a conference championship and maybe even a national championship. So right now, that's kind of where we're at with Clemson. They have things to figure out. But like Dabo said, I mean, I've won this division how many times? We've played great. Last year, we were kind of having the same conversation about Clemson, questioning what they were going to be able to do, if they were going to be able to make the playoff and be strong enough. And they were. And here we are back in September talking about Clemson in that light. At least I am. There's no we today. It's probably like the second or third time I've ever done a solo show. But if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll be checking the comments here in a little bit, but definitely tap into the comments. I want to hear from you guys. Back on this Clemson, I don't want to hang too much on it, but I do want to commend what Haynes King is doing at the quarterback position for Georgia Tech, and what Brent Key has done to this program. 4-4. You see, I said program because when we're talking about building colleges, we got to say program. They started off 4-4 under Brent Key as the interim head coach back in 2022. He then goes on to back-to-back 7 and 6 years. And now in 2025, they're 3-0, right? And Georgia Tech at 3-0 at this point of the season, I'm not sure many guys had this written this way, but it does to me appear that they're going to break that 7-game high of wins for Coach Key and possibly even compete for an ACC championship later versus Miami, who the Miami Hurricanes are the best team in Florida. We've knew this for a few weeks now. We've known it for at least over a year and a half now, I should say. But we're just proving it again. We had USF, shout out to USF, right? It's no hate. Versus this is not even little bro. This is like the cousin. This is like the cousin you see every year and a half. He's like 4 years younger than you, so you guys don't really relate on things, but he's cool. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. We definitely made an example out of them. We showed Florida a preview of how it can get when they come here to the Hard Rock Stadium, or what I should say over there down in South Florida to the Hard Rock Stadium. But right now, it's just too much. And Carson Beck is putting on a show. He had 2 turnovers this Saturday, and it was something you don't like to see because they weren't really great throws or reads. However, picks are going to come in this game, and when you have a team that's good enough to still prevail and give you 49 points, you can throw an interception. It'll be okay. I think there were good learning points early on in this season. It's not like he goes on to play a tough SMU team or even a Florida or Florida State team where the crowd is going to be really, really into it, and he gets his first pick and now his head's, a little into it. He got him out the way. He's a senior quarterback who knows what he's doing right now. And I think that we're starting to see the rise of Carson Beck on the national level, and then on the Heisman level, we're going to start talking about what Carson Beck is to college football after he goes to we're going to play at home on Saturday versus the Gators, and then we'll play on the 4th of October at Florida State. Winning is expected. Winning is not something I'm going to be, extremely rejoicing or overly rejoicing because these are teams that the Hurricanes should win. However, doing your job is part of it. It's always something to celebrate, and also it's how you win too. I'm expecting to see 2 dominant performances, at least one versus the Gators, and then hopefully another versus Florida State. Speaking of those Gators, they struggled this weekend. Their defense, they're definitely something to look at. I don't think that Carson Beck is going to go throw for 350 yards against them on Saturday, but they're also not a top 5, type of elite defense. In my eyes, at least, I haven't seen enough because what I saw from the LSU offense versus Clemson in week 1 and just on Saturday is some underwhelming offense. They've got things to figure out. Nussmeier came into the season as well as a Heisman candidate, and it doesn't seem like he's ready to take that next leap. And their offense still has some gears to figure out. So with that being said, their offense, Florida that is, had 5 turnovers, 5 interceptions, DJ Lagway. It's so bad right now for Florida that there's rumors which I don't believe, but there are rumors on the 24/7 Gators site that DJ Lagway will play in his last game of the season Saturday, rather, so that he can redshirt and transfer out of Florida. Like I said, I don't believe that, but the fact that we're hearing these rumors about this quarterback going into week 3, or going into week 4, I should say. Sorry. Notre Dame lost to Texas Tech. It was their second loss. Thankfully, they remain ranked. They lost 2 games to 2 good teams, a Texas Tech team and a Miami team in week 1, and they lost them by 4 points combined. So they didn't drop out of the 25. They're at 24. However, Clemson did drop out of the 25. My last thing I want to say on what I saw is I would like to say, can we give Arch Manning some time and just kind of calm down on I get it. It looks bad, right? I'm not defending him for his play. It has been underwhelming, especially, they go and play University of Texas El Paso, and Arch Manning comes out the game with 114 yards on 25 attempts, only 11 completions and 1 touchdown, did throw an interception, could have thrown another. I want to say let's give Arch Manning a little more time, but I look at their schedule and, Saturday, 8 o'clock at home versus Sam Houston. This is the time. This is the time. We thought it would be the 2 weeks ago where they played San Jose State, and last week, University of Texas El Paso, for him to kind of really start to gear up, and we'll see that Arch Manning that we've expected get comfortable against some bad teams. And it hasn't been the case. He's turned the ball over, made some bad throws. He's missing guys, completely missing reads. And I'm not here to bash Arch Manning. I'm a fan of Arch Manning. I would love him to do good, but we have to start slow. We have to take it step by step at this point of his career, because he's not the world-class quarterback that we thought he'd be at this point. They've got to play Florida after Sam Houston. They get a bye, and then they go to Florida. Then they come back home to play Oklahoma, Red River rivalry. Then they go to Kentucky, Mississippi State, and then they come back home November 1st for a 12 o'clock noon game. Might get flexed, but right now it's at 12 o'clock noon versus Vanderbilt. We saw what Vanderbilt was able to do against South Carolina this weekend. Obviously, Lenore Sellers is hurt. I think he had a concussion. He had a head injury. He left the game with just under 2 minutes left in the first half. They were down 14-7, South Carolina was. Diego Pavia was able to be who he is and lead that Vanderbilt team to a 24-0 run in the second half, and essentially just embarrass South Carolina. So South Carolina's got some things to figure out. They are no longer ranked themselves. The top 5 is OSU, Ohio State University, Penn State University at 2, LSU at 3, University of Miami at 4, and University of Georgia at 5. If I could have had any say, obviously this is a biased podcast when it comes to the Red Sox, the Hurricanes, and the Colts, but I try to be as objective as possible. I like what I've seen more from the University of Miami over the Louisiana State University, LSU. LSU did play Clemson, right? But, a good win over who y'all said was a really good South Florida team, and another good win over Notre Dame in week 1, to me, should have given Miami that boost. But as the schedule looks, we're going to continue this winning streak here, and so we don't have much to worry about as far as rising up in the rankings. LSU does play in that SEC. They might take a loss before the Hurricanes do. If I could guesstimate when LSU could possibly take a loss, this Saturday is not going to be the week because they play Southeastern Louisiana. But next Saturday, the 27th, at Ole Miss. LSU at Ole Miss, 3:30. the 27th. After that, they go home to South Carolina. They go to play South Carolina at home, on the road to Vanderbilt, back home, Texas A&M, and then on the road to Alabama. This is going to be a tough next month and change for the LSU Tigers, and that offense and Garrett Nussmeier got to figure things out a little quicker than they have, because right now I don't know that they come out of there with more than 3 wins the way they're playing. Is that enough college football? Do we feel satisfied in the college football department? If you're watching me right now live, man, shout out to you. I appreciate you for tapping in. All Things Sports Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at ATS Pod. Follow us on Instagram at ATS Pod Official. I want to get into some NFL Sunday stuff. So if we can tap into that NFL Sunday real quick, because like I said, man, I was home all day. I didn't do nothing this weekend. I literally woke up on Saturday with like an hour left of college game day. I started watching the 12 o'clock game. I actually made one move before while the 12 o'clock games was on. I had to go make a store run real quick. Came home and posted up shop, watching college football all day. Saturday, woke up, about an hour and a half left of Sunday NFL Countdown, one of the best shows on earth. And then 1 o'clock came and it was history. We were just watching football all day. So I want to get into what I saw from my eyes. This weekend was a big weekend. It wasn't week 1, so it wasn't, we're just trying to see who can figure each other out faster. We saw what this team did last week. We have a game under our belt. We've knocked the rust off. So it's time to perform. No excuses. And this is what we got. We got a fun Sunday, and it started off with Thursday. Actually, let me rewind. Let me rewind this, because it started off on Thursday night with the Packers dominating on defense. Packers just dominating the Washington Commanders and not letting them feel or look comfortable. Jaden Daniels, who is actually scheduled to miss this game, he's going to miss this next game here because of an injury, I believe. And so he only threw for 200 yards. I mean, I don't know if the Giants fans – sorry, I had to do that. My cousin is a Giants fan, and when I say those 2 words, it lights up his antennas. I don't know if the Giants fans were hate watching extra hard on Thursday night or what, but like I said, man, Jaden Daniels didn't get comfortable, and that offense couldn't find their rhythm to save their life. Micah Parsons and the impact that he's had on this Washington Commanders defense, on this Green Bay Packers defense is actually like second to none. Jordan Love came out and said, what he's done for our team has changed our defense completely. And I'm going to take it from their star quarterback when he talks, because he had a nice game, right? 292, 2 touchdowns, Jordan Love did. Josh Jacobs running for 84 yards himself. And Tucker Kraft, they were calling him yak and cheese, because, he was getting that ball and toting that thing once he got a catch. 6 receptions for 124 yards and a touchdown. Packers are rolling right now. The Commanders didn't score a touchdown until the 4th quarter. And that's kind of the biggest thing here. The Packers didn't, they didn't just play good offense and, manage to score more. This was total uncomfortability for this Washington Commanders offense, who last year took the league by storm under new coach Cliff Kingsbury on offense, Jaden Daniels as a rookie. And right now, that Commanders team is 1-1, and I do want to give them credit. They did win week 1. However, that week 1 win was versus that New York Giants team that we didn't know what we were going to get. And I'm saying this now in hindsight, because that Giants team threw for 450 yards on Sunday, right? They gave us a thriller, which I'm going to talk about for a second. But Why did the Giants do that versus the Commanders in week 1? That's kind of my takeaway here. But the Packers were able to play dominant football on both sides and really fluster them. So I'm interested to see how they come out of this. The Commanders dealing with a quarterback injury now, never good news. Speaking of quarterback injuries, we can move on to Sunday. Joe Burrow. This is the talk of the town. You know, Cincinnati started 2-0, and it's not much to be happy about. If you're Jake Browning, I mean, you're the new starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. You have a 2-0 lead on your division, and, you know, you just want to play as good as you can and manage games until Joe Burrow gets back. But 3 months is a long time. That's basically, if he was your fantasy football quarterback, which I wouldn't agree starting him, your season is toast. He's looking to come back in December with a grade 3 turf toe, and I think that just knocks them out of the playoffs in my grand scheme of things, early look in, because we have 10 teams that are 2-0 right now. And I believe the stat is like, if you start 2-0, you have like a 70 or 60-something% chance to make the playoffs. I'm going to go over later on in the show. I'm going to go over the 2-0 teams and the 0-2 teams. And I want to talk about who I think will make the playoffs from that 0-2 side and won't make the playoffs from that 2-0 side. I just gave you a sneak peek because I do not see the Bengals going. But just to further the conversation on Sunday, Lamar Jackson, dominant day, threw for 4 touchdowns, 225 yards, no interceptions. Bills obliterate the Jets. And what's frustrating here is this isn't the same Jets coach. This isn't the same Jets quarterback. This isn't the interim coach. Like, this is a completely new Jets look. We got fresh faces around the building, and we're still getting the same product. Aaron Glenn, he blames himself for some of that loss, which rightfully so, but I just want you to know that the Bills ran the ball for 224 yards, and the Jets had 154 total yards of offense. 154 total yards of offense. I have the stat in my head. Justin Fields was like 3 of 11 with like 50 yards before he got hurt, and now he's dealing with a concussion. The Bills' defense did not look that dominant versus the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. They gave up 40 points. I would have thought the Jets could have scored 2 touchdowns or threw the ball for 100 yards. 154 total yards, quarterback only completing 3 passes. Like, Anthony Richardson could be the starting quarterback of the Colts if Justin Fields is allowed to go out there and do that. It's kind of what I'm saying. But he's not. And the Bills ain't the only 2-0 team, because the Colts, we also 2-0. Shout out to Indianapolis for getting that win. And the reason I'm so excited for this season now that it started and we've got this 2-0 start, if you want to say we won on a fluky way, you can't say the penalty wasn't correct. The call was correct as far as the leverage call at the end of the game with the Colts and the Broncos. You got to be smarter than that if you're Denver and if you're Sean Payton, because Sean Payton admitted that he called that field goal defense in that situation when he should have just let the kick play out. It was a 60-yard game-winning attempt from a rookie. Should have let him just try to do it on his own. But I'm excited for this Colts season because that's a game that we lose in years past. Things worked out for us, and we would have still found a way to not come out with the victory. Daniel Jones with some balls on 3rd down, sticking in the pocket, knowing pressure's coming, and going at the best cornerback in the league. Patrick Surtain, Defensive Player of the Year, was attacked and targeted, I believe, 7 times yet on Sunday. We had about 6 receptions for over 60 yards. And the game icing, if you will, completion to Alec Pierce running the crosser on 3rd and 6. Jonathan Taylor, 250 yards from scrimmage. This was obviously a revenge game from 2 years ago where Jonathan Taylor had a chance to put the game away in Denver and possibly boost the playoff chances for the Colts another 10 to 15%, maybe even 20% with a win in Denver that week. But he fumbled the ball at the goal line, and it just kind of felt like that was the season the Colts were having, and that was the icing on top. But Jonathan Taylor running for over 150, 180 yards or so and catching for another 50 yards, you got to give him credit because he's looking like the best running back in the league. He's leading the league in rushing. And Daniel Jones is number 2 in passing yards, trailing, if any producer of the All Things Sports podcast wants to give a lucky guess, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's leading the league in passing yards, and right up under there is Indiana Jones. I gotta start getting used to saying Indiana Jones. Shout out to him. He's 2-0, and he looks like he's poised to go 3-0. We've got the Tennessee Titans. I don't want to take them too lightly, but they're still the Titans. They're still a bad team. They're still a rookie quarterback, situation going on. They're still winless, I should say. And their coach, we got to see if he's really, really fit for this job and for the next 10 years. I'm not sure that he is. We will be going to Nashville as a team and taking care of business, starting the season 3-0. I'll be excited to hear the last time the Colts were 3-0 was blank, because the last time we started 2-0, it was 2009, and Peyton Manning was our quarterback. I believe I was going to like 10th grade or so. Speaking of 2-0, 0-2s, last time they started this and that, the Dolphins are 0-3. I'm putting them at 0-3. It's what is today? It's Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, November 16th, and the Dolphins are already 0-3. Week 3 didn't even start yet. Thursday night football. I mean, you know why I'm doing this? Part of why I'm doing this is because I had to watch the commercial for Thursday night football from like last Friday. I mean, I'm watching Thursday night football, the Dolphins Bills, and it's like, bro, we didn't even get Sunday football finished. Like, we still got Monday night football, and I'm seeing week 3 preview. So since we're previewing week 3, the Dolphins are gonna take that L. And the last time that they started 0-3 was in 2007. 2007 was a bad year for South Florida fans because, man, I mean, the Hurricanes, at that point, they were kind of like starting to lose that juice. They had gotten into a brawl with FIU the year before, and things were just and the Dolphins went 1-15. I mean, they won one game all season. Greg Camarillo, for those that were there. Game-winning, overtime, touchdown reception versus the Ravens. I mean, the Dolphins, I'm a Colts fan, and I celebrated that Dolphins win like a Super Bowl because, I mean, week after week, losing. It felt old, and they finally got it done. But, yeah, I think that they're going to find themselves in a similar situation to 2007, starting this season 0-3. Can they beat the Bills? I don't think so. Will they beat the Bills? Absolutely not. Josh Allen is playing like the MVP he is. Again, I said that defense wasn't dominant versus the Ravens. They let up 40 points, but boy, versus them Jets, they looking like a elite defense, looking like a Super Bowl defense. And guess who they're playing? The Dolphins. I mean, this Dolphins team is turning the ball over like it's Christmas. I know his name is Tua Turn the Ball Over on Twitter. That's like the little moniker he's come to earn. But man, he didn't have the worst game to it. I'll give him that. I'm not gonna go at him in that regard. But the Dolphins ran for 61 yards. The only person, or I don't want to use the word only, the person we should be most pointing fingers at is Coach Mike McDaniel. And I'm just gonna leave it here. 0-3. Losing on Thursday night, you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday before the new week. What are you going to do at that coaching position? You start the season 0-3. You don't fire the coach. What message are you sending to your team? what kind of leadership do you guys have and who's respecting who in there? That's the questions that are going to be coming out, at least from all things sports. But if you go 0-3 and you fire the coach and you get a guy in there, interim head coach, somebody that the locker room maybe more respects, you try to turn things around. That's enough talk about the Dolphins. Let's talk about the Giants, because only Russell Wilson will throw for his career high and lose. And that was mean. It's not only Russell Wilson to do it. But, like, it feels like, the Russell Wilson thing to do. You throw for 450-plus yards. I mean, we saw a thriller. There was over 900 yards in total offense for both of these teams. We saw the Cowboys able to get to it. George Pickens finally getting in the fold. CeeDee Lamb had a game. Ferguson had a good game. Javonte Williams running the ball was very solid. Shout out to him. I got him on my fantasy team. I'm actually going to go through my fantasy game because it was a stressful one as well. Snuck out the W. But, man, it's like the Giants defense, the Cowboys defense couldn't figure out what the Giants were doing. And it was a little bit of that, but more Malik Neighbors is really just going to be a top 3 receiver before we know it, right after Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. With their quarterbacks going down in injury, Joe Burrow going down for 3 months, J.J. McCarthy being a rookie that he is, and now, having an ankle injury, going to miss next week, we're going to see some other guys emerge as top-level receivers with the numbers because of, I imagine we've seen these guys do it with the backups, Chase and Jefferson, but it's hard to be consistent with backups and guys who you don't practice with throughout the entire offseason. So just something to look forward to there. The Giants, though, I mean, playing way too soft defense at the end of the game. Like, you score that touchdown, miracle, and it's like rejoice, and then you just go and let them up. Let up, soft shell coverage. Well, you got a kicker on that Cowboys sideline who's ready to shoot from 70. The Giants have lost the game to game-winning field goals by over 60 yards 4 times now. Panthers, Cowboys, Eagles. Cowboys might have did it again. I think the Cowboys might have did it twice. So it's just unfortunate there. Obviously, it was an amazing boom from Brandon Aubrey. And there's more on him in a little bit. But I just want to say this about the Cardinals-Panthers. Nobody was watching that game until everybody started watching that game because it was 27-9 with 2 minutes left. And then it became 22-27 with 50 seconds left. And that's just the things you kind of wouldn't be surprised to hear about when you're hearing about a Panthers and a Cardinals football game. The Cardinals are 2-0. I told you guys I'm going to talk about teams that I think started 2-0 and won't make the playoffs. Don't be surprised if I mention Arizona there. And last but not least, 2 more things. Let's talk about the defending champs. It's the most boring team to watch right now, the Philadelphia Eagles. Shout out to my cousin's wife, Vanessa, man. Go Birds. Shout out to my sister. Shout out to my brother-in-law. Shout out to my 2 nephews. Go Birds. They're starting the season 2-0. They just won. The last time we saw them last season was an ass whooping, as I mentioned. The Eagles are starting this season 2-0. They've beat Mahomes. They've beat the Cowboys. Let me see what the Eagles got next week, man, because they might start this season 3-0. They've got the Rams at home. So we're going to – I see what the NFL is doing here. They want to go Eagles divisional game, prime time. They want to go Super Bowl rematch and then NFC Championship rematch off the bat for Philly. And if Philly aces this next week's test, because it's not about the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs and the Eagles, that's old news. I don't think we're going to see them in a Super Bowl match. Maybe in a year or two if the Chiefs can figure some things out and maybe get Tyreek Hill back. Not this year. But the Eagles, and not to say the Chiefs won't make the playoffs or be relevant, but I think for this Chiefs-Eagles dynasty or duel, This was it. Nobody wants to watch this anymore. The offense was boring on both sides. Travis Kelce dropping passes to win the game. Enough. Philadelphia taking care of business at home versus the Rams on Sunday this week coming up. We're going to have a serious conversation about the repeat. Because if you would have told me the Eagles would have started 2-0, I mean, it's not the biggest surprise, right? Cowboys and Chiefs. 3-0, beating that Rams team, everybody's healthy. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but they play the Buccaneers in 2 weeks. And if they go 4-0, I just listen. That's like what Kansas City did last year. I mean, Kansas City started the season, I want to say like 15-0 or so last year, and went to the Super Bowl. Ultimately lost, but they had a special thing going. The Eagles look like they're trying to replicate that with playing their style of football. They're not going to play your game. They're not going to get out of pace. They're going to run the ball with Saquon. They're going to throw it short. They're going to make a couple explosive plays downfield. They're not going to throw the ball to A.J. Brown, and they're gonna force a turnover and win the game. That's just how it works. Shout out to the Eagles, man, going 2-0, trying to look for 3-0 versus the Bake Show. Baker Mayfield, Monday Night Football, and Justin Herbert, Monday Night Football. These are two top quarterbacks in the league, and we have to respect them as such. Justin Herbert kind of coming along a little slower, maybe, if you will, than others thought. I think he's had a great career. He's played a lot of great football. He had an idiot head coach, Brandon Staley, who deservedly got fired. And now we see Harbaugh, implementing that championship pedigree and doing what he does with the quarterback position. He just kind of has that winning effect on you. And Justin Herbert has looked amazing through 2 weeks. Geno Smith, EP, shout out to you, man. Shout out to EP, man. He wanted me to bring up Geno Smith throwing the ball away on 4th down last night. He said, you better not forget to mention this. I tuned out of the game by this time. So I had to go watch the film and run the playback because I saw the highlight. I saw the broadcast, angle, and I'm like, I don't know. Where was he going to throw the ball? I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because it was a tough play. He was trying to get out of pressure. But I watched that play on NFL Pro. I watched it all 22. First of all, he not only stepped up in the pocket prematurely and tried to get out of pressure that wasn't necessarily there. He kind of got flustered prematurely. Now he's taking his eyes off the field. And he's trying not to get sacked. Then he puts his eyes back downfield. He has his tight end over the middle. He had an earlier look to the wide receiver up top, and he just couldn't do it. He just threw it away. So, EP, I'm with you. I don't know what that was right there. Geno Smith, I know Pops is not happy with the performance. I woke up to a text message from Pops, and all he said was 3 field goals, 3 picks. Pathetic. That's all you can say about that Raiders game. I do want to bring up a random stat real quick. Quarterbacks with 70% completion percentage and 0 turnovers this season. Sounds like winning football, by the way. Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones. The list ends there. Hey, the Dodgers, Pops, if you're watching, the Dodgers are still doing good. You know what I'm saying? So if football season kind of funnels out by week 6, hopefully the Dodgers, end of October, you're celebrating a National League pennant or something like that. I want to talk about injuries before I get into the best performances of the weekend for me. Just real quick, we already mentioned Joe Burrow. He's going to miss a lot of time. That kind of hurts things for me with this Bengals season that I was excited for. EP gave him so much shit last year, and EP was right. I had to eat my words. EP was smiling, laughing, rejoicing in the group chats and letting me know that he is here for the Bengals hate watch every week. Jalen Johnson from the Bears, they're saying he has a groin injury, might require surgery, might be season ending, might come back late in the season, but I mean, they just got embarrassed They got 52 points put up on their head by Jared Goff. And now they're hearing news that their starting cornerback, number one corner, best defensive player on their team, might miss the rest of the season. Very unfortunate news. Other injuries around the league. Justin Fields, obviously, with the concussion. Hopefully he can pass protocol and play in week 3. But I'm uncertain that he's going to be able to. Alex Highsmith for the Eagles, still dealing with that ankle injury. And Kyle Van Noy left the game for the Ravens with a hamstring. Obviously, he's a little older, so we got to monitor that and see how long that's going to take for him to come back from in terms of 100% health, being able to rush that passer at the level the Ravens need him to. Best performances I want to talk about on Sunday, because we had some fun performances, and there was a good 5 or 6 I could have chose from. I got 3. I want to special shout out Jared Goff. I just mentioned the Lions putting up 52 points on that Bears team, and this was truly a stick it up yours moment for the Lions to coach Ben Johnson. And not maybe personally, but like, if you want to leave coaching this team after getting embarrassed on offense in the NFC Championship NFC divisional round versus the Commanders, you want to leave us and go to our division rival, worst team in this division, the Chicago Bears? We got something for you. Don't think we scored 42 just because of you. You helped, but we got the talent. And they put up 52 points on Ben Johnson's Bears in their first ever matchup against the Lions in Detroit. Jared Goff, 23 of 28, 334 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Lou's going to kill me for hitting that desk right there. I'm sorry. Audio is going crazy. But 5 touchdown passes. I mean, that's Peyton Manning, Tom Brady-esque, with only 5 incompletions, throwing for over 330 yards. Shout out to Jared Goff. Everybody was talking crazy after week 1. Oh, they're not running the play action. Ben Johnson's not there. Jared Goff looks like, is he going to be able to play without Sean McVay or Ben Johnson as a coach? Listen, cat's out the bag. He can do it. The number 1 overall pick for a reason, 2016. Number 2, best performance I saw this weekend. Shout out to Brandon Aubrey from the Dallas Cowboys. You know, he didn't miss a field goal. He went 4 for 4, I think, from extra point and like 3 of 3 from the field. But most importantly, a game-tying field goal versus the Giants to send the game to overtime from 64 yards. That's called good and clutch. In overtime, he then hits a game-winning field goal. This is the first time in NFL history, if I'm not mistaken, a kicker hits the game-tying field goal to send it in overtime and then a game-winning walk-off field goal to win in overtime. And it actually, as the clock ran out, they almost tied the game. Honorable mention, Malik Neighbors, 9 receptions, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. Have to acknowledge that. There's no way the Giants should have lost this game, except for the fact that the Cowboys have a kicker that can make it from 70. Very unfortunate they were playing in a dome. If that's at MetLife, does that happen that way? I don't know. It wasn't at MetLife. Cowboys win. Giants are 0-2. And number 4, best performer, and shout out, special from the bottom of my heart, special shout out to Coach Sean McVay and the Denver Broncos special teams field goal defense for, using leverage and giving us a free personal foul, 15-yard penalty. That's an automatic first down, making a field goal that was a 60-yard attempt for a rookie, Spencer Schrader, into a 45 game-winning field goal attempt. Blouses. I went from agony and pain because we saw a great game. The Colts, I mean, there was things to clean up, but we saw a really good game from the Colts. Did everything they could up until that point. Missed a field goal from 60 because of, I want to say, coaching blunders. I don't know what the hell Coach Shane Steichen was thinking with the clock management and running the ball and losing yards to ultimately kind of set up his field goal kicker to lose. But the football gods blessed us, and it was rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. Shout out to them. Worst play I saw, if not just Sunday, in the last 10 years, Caleb Johnson, rookie running back from the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a kickoff, and you don't touch the ball, and you don't field the ball, and you don't recover the ball, and you let the Seahawks score a free touchdown. It might have been the easiest touchdown in NFL history. Man, I don't know what that conversation's like with coaches. I don't know what the conversation's like in the film room, but that can never, ever happen. Ever. It should have never happened to be able to say it shouldn't happen again. It should never have happened because everybody knows a kickoff is a live ball. So I don't know, rookie blunders and nerves and things like that, I understand, but that's just inexcusable football. That's losing football, and that put the Steelers ultimately in a hole that was too deep to dig themselves out of. Sometimes it just sucks to suck. And lastly, I want to talk about the 2-0 teams versus the 0-2 teams. We got 10 teams on each side. 10 teams that are 2-0, 10 teams that are 0-2. Cardinals, Bills, Bengals, Packers, Colts, Chargers, Eagles, Niners, Bucks, Rams. 2-0. All 2-0. Bears, Browns, Dolphins, Giants, Chiefs, Jets, Panthers, Saints, Texans, Titans. All 0-2. So as I look at this list, we got some good teams on both sides. However, there's more good teams on the 2-0 side than on the 0-2 side. I got to be completely honest. From this 0-2 side, I've only got one team out of the 10 teams that are 0-2 that I think will make the playoffs. Typically, you start 0-2, you're not going to the playoffs. So I'm not mad that I only found one team here. But Giants and Jets, no playoffs for you. Panthers and Saints, get the front door out of here. Texans and Titans, AFC South rivals, please. Bears, yeah, right. Browns, not happening with Joe Flacco. Dolphins, I'm calling for them to fire their head coach. I don't expect them to make the playoffs this season. But the Chiefs, Kansas City is the team that's 0-2 right now that I can see bouncing back with no issue. And I mean, when I say no issue, that's a stretch. Obviously, bouncing back from 2-0, 0-2 is not the easiest thing to do. But if any team can do it, it's going to be the Chiefs. And they're able to turn this thing around starting on Sunday night. They got primetime football in MetLife Stadium against the New York Football Giants, who are struggling right now and 0-2. They found their way on offense, the Giants did, and that's going to be a problem for Casey. But we're going to see what Patrick Mahomes facing 0-3, directly facing 0-3. We're going to see what that looks like. We've never seen Patrick Mahomes at 0-2, not in this league, not in college. Last time he went 0-2 to start a season was in high school. How does he respond? That's the greatest quarterback of this generation, possibly the greatest quarterback of all time. He's in some waters that he's never been in right now, and it's going to be interesting to see how he responds versus a hungry New York Football Giants team who is capable of winning this game on Sunday night. Obviously, they have the offensive firepower. The Chiefs' defense, they don't look too great. But is Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid just going to be too much? Vintage. Travis Kelce going to make up for what he lost in a game-losing play that he made against the Eagles? We'll see. I still do think the Chiefs are the only team here in this 0-2 tally to make the playoffs. From the 2-0 teams, I mentioned again, there's 10 2-0 teams right now, and I only think that I think that 3 of them don't make the playoffs. Starting with Arizona, those Cardinals, just in a tough division. I mean, NFC West, I liked what I saw from them ending the season last year, and I love the start 2-0. But watching that Panthers game, man, it's like, first of all, they beat the Panthers and the Saints, right? Like, let's not rejoice. Let's not do that. Panthers and the Saints. I don't think I have to further explain so much why I think the Cardinals not going to make the playoffs. I also think the Bengals are definitely making the playoffs. I think the Bengals missed the playoffs. Obviously, it's unfortunate. Quarterback situation, I've spoken about it a couple times already on the show. Missing 3 months of your best player is just unfortunate. And the 49ers, the other team in that NFC West that I do think is going to miss the playoffs after starting 0-2, they're still dealing with a turf toe injury for their starting quarterback, Brock Purdy. Mac Jones came in last week, and, shout out to him. But he played the Saints. And Mac Jones, let's take a look real quick at the 49ers' next 3 games, because I'm not expecting Brock Purdy to miss 4 or 5 games, but it's possible. They've got to go back home to play the Cardinals, winnable game. Jaguars, another winnable game. And then on the road, division rival Rams, and then all the way to Florida to play the Buccaneers. So, it's going to be tough for them to keep up, especially without their starting quarterback. I don't see them sustaining, and I think that they fall out of the playoff picture as well. That leaves like the Bills, Packers, Colts, Chargers, Eagles, Bucks, Rams. All sound like playoff teams to me. I mean, it's weird that I'm saying Colts playoffs, especially in week 2, but we're 2-0. We look like we're going to get off to a 3-0 start. And the the Texans at 0-2. It's just it's a bit worrisome. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit worrisome. That's all. Shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. I asked for questions, man. Shout out to the one question I got. It's not about did you get 10 questions. It's about did one person ask you a question. And technically I got 2. I went over them with the producer on the show. I went over the 2 questions, but one doesn't really have to do with football, so I'll just leave that one out. Is Baker Mayfield a top 3 quarterback in the NFC? And I love this question. Because when I look at the NFC, right, top quarterbacks in the NFC, we're talking about Jalen Hurts, we're talking about Jaden Daniels, we're talking about maybe you want to throw in Matthew Stafford. You want to talk about Jordan Love, maybe even a Dak Prescott, and Jared Goff. If Baker Mayfield is not the best quarterback in the NFC, he's the second best quarterback. And I'm going to go so far to say Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts. I don't care about Jalen Hurts throwing 300 yards or even 250 a game. I think that Jalen Hurts makes sure that his team is in position to win games. And as a quarterback, that's the biggest part of your job. And he does that extremely well. So that's my argument for why Hurts is the number 3 quarterback in the NFC over Jaden Daniels, over Matthew Stafford. I just think that, like I said, he puts his team in a great position to win. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's making a great decision. But, yeah, I absolutely think Baker Mayfield is the number 2, if not on a good day, the number 1 quarterback in the NFC. And this is something that I've been preaching from last year and all offseason. I didn't record 1,000 podcasts this offseason, but I recorded a couple. And I'm sure if you go in maybe one or two of them, I'm talking about Baker Mayfield and what he's been able to do for the Tampa Bay offense. They've got Mike Evans. They've got Chris Godwin coming back from injury. They draft Emeka Egbuka. They got Cade Otton. I mean, they've even got Baker Mayfield's college teammate, Sterling Shepard, who has that rapport, who has that, connection with Baker Mayfield. And they're doing everything they can to make him comfortable. They've got good offensive line, and they've got a dual running back system with headlined by Bucky Irving, second-year player out of Oregon. Everything looks good for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, except for the fact that it's possible they lose one of their pass rushers to season-ending pectoral tear, which unfortunately, if he does have to miss the season, that's going to be a big blow for their defense, but nothing that they can't come out of. Oh yeah, his name is Kalijah Kancey. There we go. I was trying to think of his name. Kalijah Kancey got hurt. I just want to make sure I've kind of touched every base that I wanted to go over so far with you guys. I appreciate y'all for listening, man. I think I talked about the Colts, right? I spoke about the Colts and what we expect to do on Sunday. I'm just excited for another fun week of football. Let me look at the Week 3 NFL schedule, see what we're looking at, see what we're going up against. Because in college football, I mean, we got the Hurricanes taking on the Gators at home. That's going to be a fun one. I'm super excited to see that. We got Texas Tech at Utah, a number 16 and number 17 matchup. Auburn and Oklahoma, SEC football right there. And then South Carolina and Missouri, an unranked South Carolina now who, just lost. Her quarterback was hurt. I'm not sure that Lenore Sellers is going to be able to get back in time for the game. So they lose 2 straight. That's going to be a little sad for South Carolina. Illinois, Indiana, that's going to be another good game. 7:30, NBC Peacock, both undefeated, 3-0 teams. The number 19, Indiana, hosting the number 9, Illinois, fighting Illini. Big Ten football is in a good place right now. So shout out to Illinois and Indiana for me even talking about them on the All Things Sports podcast. Last year we started talking about Indiana football. And deservedly so, making that playoff. We're going to keep talking about them as they do good this season. So shout out to them. But Week 3 of the NFL, let's kind of just open the slate real quick. We're going to have Bengals Vikings. It's going to be the battle of the backup quarterback that nobody is interested in. But I did see a tweet, and I wanted to bring this up. They said Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are facing off with backup quarterbacks this weekend. Whoever puts up better numbers is officially the better wide receiver, end of question. It's actually pretty funny there. But Rams, Eagles, like I said, NFC divisional rematch. We're going to get Chiefs, Giants, Sunday Night Football, as I mentioned. Both of them staring at 0-3. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid in a position that Andy Reid hasn't been 0-2 since 2014. Again, Patrick Mahomes in his NFL career and collegiate career has never been 0-2. Interested to see how he responds there. Bears hosting the Cowboys at 425, and I think that this is their chance to get a win. The Cowboys are, they're playing pretty good, but this is a chance to steal a win here. And then 2 more games I'm excited to see are going to be Chargers hosting the Broncos in the AFC West division rival. The Broncos won Week 1, lost a game they should have won and been 2-0 for Week 2. Can they beat a division rival on the road early in the season? That's going to be big. And then Monday Night Football, we got Lions-Ravens. I mean, this is a possible Super Bowl matchup. Detroit going on the road to M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson just threw for 4 touchdowns. Jared Goff just threw for 5 touchdowns. I expect that we're going to see a game similar to the game that we saw in Week 1 Sunday Night Football when the Baltimore Ravens played the Bills, and we saw a 40-41 game that went down to the wire. I think I've said everything that I've needed to. I'm not sure that I've got any more base to touch. They've got sirens in the background. I'm not sure what's going on in Gotham City right now, but that's none of my concern. I am in the safety of my own home. God is great. If you've watched this podcast in full, I love you. If you've tapped in, appreciate you. If you're tapping in the chat, if you sent a question on Instagram, any type of interaction with the All Things Sports family is much appreciated. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram at ATS Pod Official, follow the podcast on Twitter and TikTok at ATS Pod. TikTok might be ATS Pod Official. You'll find it. But yeah, man, stay tuned. We'll be back later this week, if not next week.